Hi y'all. It's very often the case that if you spend a little bit of time up front, you'll save a lot of headache in the future. And that is definitely true for data security. So keep watching to learn a few simple concepts to protecting your data. At the risk of oversimplifying data security, it all boils down to access control. So when you consider data security, it's best to follow an allow list policy. A data guardian will basically limit all access to the database except for a handful of legitimate users. The data guardian will also restrict from where those users can connect from, and when granting privileges to the database, they will follow the principle of least privilege. So let's start with blocking access. The first rule of data security is to limit connectivity paths to the database. Basically, don't expose your database to the internet. Put it behind a firewall and a VPN, and this will drastically reduce the amount of unauthorized access attempts to your database. The second rule is to force all access to the data to go through the database. So if you can read the data in clear text without logging into the database, so can an attacker who gains access to your system or network. In short, this means enabling encryption. If you enable encryption in transit through connectivity, an attacker cannot sniff the database traffic through the network. Encrypting the data at rest prevents unauthorized access to the database files themselves. Following those two simple rules of blocking access and forcing everything through the database, let's go ahead and talk about granting access to the database. To grant access, you create users and give them certain privileges. When you create these users, give them strong passwords and rotate them periodically. Also, consider limiting from where those authorized users can connect from. Don't just allow them to connect from anywhere. When granting privileges, it's best to follow the principle of least privilege. So ask yourself, which users need access to read the data? Which users need access to manipulate the data through inserts and updates and deletes? And try to minimize which users can administer the database and perform schema modifications. And finally, it's probably good to ask yourself whether these users need access to all of the data or a subset of the data. As a business, your users trust you with their data. By following the foundational principles of data security outlined above, you will minimize the chance of losing that trust. So remember, block access to the database except for a handful of select authorized users. And for those approved users, limit from where they can connect from and follow the principle of least privilege when granting them privilege and access to the data.